Hello everyone, I'm Brian and welcome back for part 4, hopefully the last one. Let's go ahead and get started.
I think it is a story about
Story.
Tulsidas, one great saint, who used to live in a hut. And many rich people used to come to him, and there were robbers who watched it. That this monk, he lives in a hut, but so many rich devotees come to him, and they give him gifts, so they must be full of costly things. And there were many things in the hut. So they decided to rob the hut. And then they found they could not enter it because each time they approached it at the dead of the night, they found these two youths standing with bows and arrows, patrolling the Tulsidas. Yes, that's the story. Next in the morning, they couldn't restrain their curiosity. So they went to the saint and said, "Forgive us, we wanted to rob you last night, but we couldn't get in." Who are those two wonderful, these luminous beings? And there's a youth who all night were walking back and forth in front of your hut, armed with bow and arrow. And Tulsidas burst into tears. They were Rama and Lakshmana, that they have come to protect me. And you know what his tears were for? Oh, because of all this nonsense that is there in the hut, all those things. They now have to be protected. And I have bothered my beloved Lord. And he immediately said, "You take all of them." He told the robbers, "You take everything from here." So because we are bothering God, for God has promised, I will take care of everything. And not only that, he promises, "Yoga kshema vahamyaham." I will carry what you need, what the devotee needs, I will carry. So the great scholar, I think it's Jagannath Mishra or somebody, he was in Puri. He was writing a commentary to the Mahabharata, entire Mahabharata, including Bhagavad Gita, which is in Mahabharata. He was writing a commentary. When he came to this verse, God says, "I carry what my devotee needs." He thought that's a mistake. Why will the Lord carry for the devotee? This is not good. I am the devotee. It's the Lord. Lord will grant. So he changed it. He cut it out. The word of the Gita. He cut out the word. So that's scholarship for you. He cut out the word. This has to be changed. This must be wrong. He cut it out and he wrote Dadamyaham in Sanskrit. I give, I grant. The Lord says, I grant unto my devotees whatever they need, if their one-pointed devotion is there. Now, he was very poor. In his house, his wife was thinking, there's nothing to cook today, there's no food. Suddenly this youth who comes, very beautiful little boy, comes with a lot of food on his head, on a basket. And he gives it to the, "Who are you? Who sent this?" "Oh, your husband has sent this food. This is for you." And then she saw a long stripe, like somebody has hit him with a cane or something, on his face or on his back. So, "Who hit you like this? This is terrible." "Oh, your husband did this." And wife was furious. And said, "Wait, let him come home. Why would he hurt this little innocent child? And look how nicely he has bought all the food for us." So when the scholar returned home hungry, and his wife was furious, "Why did you beat that little boy?" So, "What little boy?" "It's a little boy who came with all the food for us, and look, here's all the food," and he disappeared because I couldn't find him. But he had this terrible mark on his back, like a cut. Then he realized that he had cut the word of the Lord like that, like a. So that came on the back of the little boy, who's none other than Krishna. So anyway, the Lord takes care of you. But takes care does not mean, that means I want to be a millionaire. I won't do any work. I'll just take the name of Krishna, and Krishna will give me $1 million. No. Krishna will take care of what you need, that much. That is promised. When Narendranath went on pestering Sri Ramakrishna, he was in dire circumstances. His father had passed away. They had household debts, and his brothers and sisters were young, and he didn't have a job. What to do? And so he finally went helplessly to Sri Ramakrishna and said, "Ask the Divine Mother." See, whatever you want in the world, you have to ask the Divine Mother. Brahman is totally useless. If you are poor in the world, that's all right. Poor is same Brahman with poor name and form. If you are rich in the world, Brahman is also fine with that. You are same Brahman with rich name and form. Name and form is not, Brahman is not concerned. But the Divine Mother can make a change. If you want a change, that's why everybody queues up before the temple of the Divine Mother.
So this is the weird thing. He's talking about Brahman, Ramakrishna, all these other what looks like deities. Does he follow these all? Is Brahman the one true reality? Are these other deities like real, or are you just talking about mythology? It's kind of confusing a little bit.
Shiva temple sort of formality. Because she is in charge of the household accounts of the universe, the Divine Mother. Shiva doesn't have a penny to his name, so. Sri Ramakrishna said, "You go and ask." And Narendranath said to Sri Ramakrishna that, no, she listens to you. You go and ask. Tell her that things may improve for me. And Sri Ramakrishna said, "No, you go. Today is a Tuesday. It's a day of the Divine Mother. And I tell you that she will listen to what you ask for. Go and ask for money." So he goes there, and then he finds that it's a living image. It's not just a stone image or something. And he comes back sort of God intoxicated, and then Sri Ramakrishna says, "What did you see?" "I saw this divine presence." "And did you pray?" "Yes, I prayed for devotion, viveka, vairagya, the discernment between the eternal and the non-eternal, dispassion for the world, devotion to her." "Oh, that's all right, but did you pray for money?" "No, I forgot." "Oh, how foolish. Go back quickly and ask for money." And then he went back. Same thing happened again. Third time, Sri Ramakrishna sent him back. There's yet time. Go and ask. Same thing. He asked for devotion. He asked for knowledge, dispassion. Then he understood that this is all your play. He told Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna was very happy because the disciple had passed the test.
Hey, they say third time's the charm, right? Or however many times he did it.
"You must do something for me." And then Sri Ramakrishna says, "Yes, all right. Your family will not lack plain food and clothing." Plain food and clothing. Not Kate Spade collection. Not Anthony Bourdain food. Just plain food and clothing. That much. So Krishna says, "I will take care of." Surrender. Prapatti. God takes care of your affairs, your work. The other one, it says Leela. This whole universe, the devotee ultimately sees this universe as a play of God. And I am the friend.
Now, I've heard this a few times, but I don't think I watched a video about it. I'm kind of curious about this play. I've heard some commenters speak about this in some of my past videos, so it's kind of curious. It's this divine play.
God is playing with me in this form. But then remember, even disease and suffering and loneliness and death are also play. I remember, so you will not take it as suffering. I remember this very touching story. It's a Russian Orthodox church story. So this man, he goes to the father in the church and asks, "You taught us that praise God in good and evil. So when things are good, I can praise God. But when things are going badly, how do I praise God? It's not easy." So father said, "Look, I don't know, but in the forest there are hermits who stay, anchorites. So there's one who stays there. He's a very good hermit. Go and ask him. He can tell you." So this man goes into the forest and says, in a little cell, this emaciated man is sitting there, and there are sores on his body, and he's ill, and he's underfed, sitting quietly and praying, but his eyes are shining with an unearthly joy. So this man asks him, "I have a question. The Father sent me to you to ask you a question. How do I praise God when there is suffering?" He said, "You know the answer. How do I praise God when there is suffering? How can I thank God when unfortunate things happen to me, sad things happen to me, when He gives suffering?" And this hermit, he looked up with a sweet smile. He said, "But I can't tell you that because God has never given me suffering." You see, that's the answer. Divine play. All is play. I heard this story. It's a real thing which happened.
So basically, if you don't see something as suffering, it will not be suffering, in a sense. Because if you see this place as paradise and everything is joy, then there is no suffering. That's what I'm picking up.
In the Himalayas, I've told some of you earlier, there was this monk who used to stay in a cave. See, there the system is you have to go for your food, beg for your food. And there are places, it's not as difficult as it sounds. There are places where monks, you just go there and if you're a monk, they will feed you. So it's as easy as that. One day there was a feast. Sometimes there are occasional feasts. But feast is not really a feast compared to what you might think a feast is. It's one extra laddu. That's a feast. Or in the mango season, one mango is a feast. So there's a feast. Have you heard of, they are called, they're like pancakes, malpua. They're like pancakes. So that was served that day. That's big news, the monastic grapevine, that there was malpua in that particular place. So afterwards, when we went to the class, the teacher told us, the teacher who was teaching us, he said, "Tum log gaye? Did you all go?" And we said, "Yes." "Kitna malpua khaya? How many did you eat?" Somebody said 1, somebody said 2, somebody said 3. And then the teacher said, "I don't go, it comes." And he said, "Your karma will bring to you whatever. If you are obstinate, if you don't put forth the effort, karma is helpless, it has to come to you." And he gave the example like letters which bear your address. The postman will find out and deliver it to you, even in your cave, he said. That's what happens. Similarly, your karma will come to you. If you don't go to that place, somehow food will come to you. So he said, food came to me. Then he told us the story of this monk who lived in a cave, who did not go out begging, but the villagers liked him very much, so every day they would bring him food at a fixed hour, and they would leave it outside the cave. He would come out from the cave and eat. One day the villagers decided to test him, and they did not bring the food at that hour. And from a distance they were watching, what does he do? Now, he had this attitude.
It makes me wonder, though, what did he do for the villagers to like him, though? I'm sure he had to have done something. You don't generally necessarily like people, but it's not like you dislike them either. I like to believe that people start off neutral, and then you do good things, then people will like you for that.
That God is my friend. Life is a play with God. And he would call God Mera Yar, my buddy. Why don't you go to beg like the rest of us? Other monks would ask. He would say, Mera Yar khilata hai. My friend feeds me. So that day, they waited, and they saw the monk come out at the appointed hour. He looked around, no food. He scratched his head and maybe stroked his beard. And then he went back into the cave. After 10 minutes, he came out again and looked, no food. And it kept on happening in intervals. Several hours later, before evening, the villagers went up to him and said, "So, what happened? Didn't your friend feed you today, your buddy?" And he broke out into a dance, singing, "Chalo aaj meri yaar ki chali. Chalo aaj meri yaar ki chali." Today the will of my friend was done. It doesn't translate too well into English. Today the will of my friend was done. I'm so happy. What does it mean? All these days I am hungry and I want to eat, and my friend, with a capital F, the buddy, obliges me. He feeds me. He does what I want. Today I'm hungry. I want to eat. But he decided not to feed me. Today his will was done, not mine. I'm so happy today. Today, my will, he didn't fulfill my will, he fulfilled his will. So, chalo aaj meri yaar ki chali. I'm so happy today. That is the attitude. Only in that way. Otherwise, everything in life has to be transformed into play. Divine Leela.
We're getting a lot of stories in the second part.
Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they see everything in life, every event in your life, as the dance of Radha and Krishna. Everything that is going on in life is the dance of Radha and Krishna. So that's another way of divinizing work. So this is the main, let us say, what I've seen most people do, monks and those who are not monks, they see work as worship of God. Okay. Now, in the time remaining, we'll do Q&A, and before that, at the end of this book, the Swami has given what is called a few practical hints for followers of Karma Yoga. Very important observations. I have selected 20. He has given 35. So, these are very practical suggestions, very practical points. I will read them out, then we will discuss. All right. 1. Other than Karma Yoga, all yogic paths imply spiritual practice in solitude. Karma Yoga alone has the power to bring the spiritual ideal directly into the busiest field of life struggles. Very important for today's life, Karma Yoga. Very relevant. Second, the goal of Karma Yoga is one's own liberation and the welfare of the world. Do all work with this twofold end in view. Atmano mokshartham jagathitaya cha, the motto of the Ramakrishna order. For your own liberation and for the welfare of the world. That is the purpose of Karma Yoga. For your own enlightenment. Not to make you $1 million or not to make you famous or not to give you awards in life. So it is only for my spiritual realization and bring welfare to the world. Third, do all work as either service to God who dwells in all beings or as a participation in cosmic sacrifice. That is to say, all work must be done either with devotion to God or with knowledge of the self. Either way, the important point is to make karma a means of connecting individual life with universal life. So either based on God or seeing yourself as the Atman, that I'm participating in a universal sacrifice going on here. Number 4, look upon all people as potentially divine, but do not mistake potentiality for actuality. God is present in all beings, absolutely true. Do not underrate the reality and the power of evil.
I was gonna say, like, what do you mean by potentiality if everyone is God? But if everyone is God, then is evil? It's kind of weird. Like what he just went on there about the do not underestimate the reality and the power of evil. It's kind of weird that evil exists in the world. He kind of confuses me a little bit. Again, he talks about when he says God, he keeps. And especially when he refers to, was it Ramakrishna and Shiva? Well, I don't think it says Shiva, but the deities. It makes it seem like there's these gods out there, and then when he defined Brahman as and merely a definition, not a god. So it's kind of confusing whenever I listen to him because I think he teaches all the different paths, and I'm trying to understand him and what his path is specifically. Whereas like Sadhguru, he speaks his specific path, where he's more of a teacher which teaches different paths. And so I get confused sometimes whenever I don't know whether he's talking about his path, his order, and or where he's talking about like the different paths, which I gotta understand that he's talking about the Karma Yoga path, the path of action. So, but I didn't realize that maybe, is it Karma Yoga? I don't know, it's a bit confusing to understand this is a particular path, so I guess this path has maybe the belief of deities?
Though the one divine dwells in all, the manifestation of the divinity is not the same in all. In the sinner and the saint, God dwells. Yes, but be careful of the sinner. So we have to be careful in dealing with evil-minded people and difficult situations. So he mentions the example of Vyagra Narayan and Mahut Narayan. What is Vyagra Narayan? The story Sri Ramakrishna said, Narayana, the Lord dwells in all, but that does not mean you will embrace the tiger Lord. If you embrace God in the form of the tiger, what will happen? The tiger will also embrace you. And that will be the end. And the story of Mahut Narayana. How do I deal with life? So a monk learned that God is present in all beings. Then he went out on his daily round for begging in the village for his food. And people shouted, run away, run away. Holy sir, run away from the path. A mad elephant is charging down. This monk thought, that God is, my guru taught me God is present in all beings. So God is present in the elephant. Narayana is present in the elephant. So how can God harm me? There won't be any problem. I should only approach with the right spirit that God is there in the elephant. Even the Mahut, the man who sits on top of the elephant who couldn't control it, shouted, "Move away from the path, holy sir. I can't control the elephant." But the man stood calmly. The elephant charged down. I think the elephant couldn't believe its beady little eyes. And it picked up this monk and tossed him into the fields on the side and charged down, ran away. This man lost consciousness. They couldn't find him in the ashram. They went out looking for him. Then they brought him back to the ashram and revived him. And when he came to his senses, the guru asked him, "What happened? What happened, my child?" "Sir, you taught me that all is God. Narayan is present in everything. And then I thought Narayan is present in the elephant. But Narayan, the elephant, threw me up to the side." He told the whole story. And the guru said, "It is true that Narayan is present in the elephant. But the Mahut Narayan told you to move out. Why didn't you listen to that Mahut Narayan? The one God is present in that also. God spoke through that." Which means all rules of common sense also apply. So be careful. Then number 5. Every day we should spend at least half an hour in morning and evening in silent contemplation. The danger of Karma Yoga is becoming extroverted. Busyness. I remember the first lesson I learned, I was a novice, just 1 or 2 months into my monastic life. In the evening, after the evening prayers, I went to the office and I was working in the office. And the head of the monastery came and said, "What are you doing?" "I'm working." And he said, "Go to your room immediately. Sit and meditate there, or you read something, or you sleep. But don't come out of your room until the bell for the night meal goes." See, he knows. Young man, restless, active, and he's disguising this restlessness in the name of Karma Yoga. No, he says, even if you go and sit in your room or even if you doze in your room, literally doesn't mean that you have to sleep, but you will not come out. Learn the value of pulling back from the world. And this is especially important for Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is busyness. Busyness is not spirituality.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that. I guess this is an issue in Karma Yoga, but I know a lot of Westerners. They're so focused on success. They're focused on the end goal, and they basically push everything out their life to focus to get to that end game, and it usually ends up tearing up a lot of things in their life, friendship, maybe family. They go too extreme in terms of getting that end goal. And I guess the path of action is something that you have to be aware of. That's pretty interesting.
Number 6. One of the tests of progress in Karma Yoga is the attainment of purity of mind. Another test is reduction of stress and strain. Purity of mind, stress and strain. If instead of making the mind purer and freeing it from tension, work makes it more and more impure or increases mental tension, there must be something wrong with the way work is being done. Way means your attitude. Number 7. See, maturity will bring you to it. I was in Harvard the last 3 days, and most of the people in that batch, they are young people. And it's something awesome for them to be at Harvard. They're thrilled, they're worried, they have a lot of expectations, a lot of anxieties. All of that is there. They're delighted, scared, proud to be there, apprehensive. More than once they came and said, "How can you be so relaxed? And you seem to be fairly... I'm happy to be there, and I like it. Everything is nice. But also, I have no particular expectation from it, or nothing really tied up." And you don't have to be a monk to have that. If you are a monk, it comes very easily. Just maturity. One lady who is a little older than the others, she has kids, and she has come back to college, and so she is in the same batch. She was saying that life has a kind of dream-like quality after some time. So many things have happened in life. If you think about your childhood now, if you think about the places you lived in, especially many of people here are immigrants right here in this. So you have lived in different lands, vastly different cultures and places. If you look back upon it now, doesn't it have a dream-like, story-like quality? Especially as you get more mature. You have a family or children or husband and wife and different jobs, different cities, different experiences. When you begin to look back, just with that maturity, life does take on a dream-like, story-like quality.
I mean, it is all in your memory. After all, it's no longer reality. The burdens of being a human, I guess, because we have that one thing that most animals don't have, which is basically our past, our memory. Memory is our suffering, to a degree, in a dreamlike state.
Then, number 7. In Karma Yoga, what matters is not what we do, but how we do it. In Karma Yoga, there is no distinction between lower and higher work, between secular and sacred work. All work is sacred. As the Bengali saying goes, from mending shoes to chanting the Chandi. Juto shelai theke Chandi path. This is a Bengali saying. From mending your shoes to chanting the sacred text Chandi. All of it is spiritual. You can spiritualize all work. Unless it's openly immoral or bad, every work can be spiritualized, including eating, talking, walking, everything can be spiritualized. Then he says, number 8, choose the type of work that is in harmony with your temperament. So resistance will be less. If you have no freedom, many people have no freedom. If you have no freedom to choose your work, try to make whatever work you are asked to do meaningful to you. That is somehow connected to God, spirituality. Number 9, make your outer life an expression of your inner life.
Sorry, I want to go back to the last one about how to make your work meaning for you. Again, another thing that, well, it's kind of crazy nowadays, where I think a lot of people are quitting their job because they look to their job as literally a job, and that's not necessarily wrong, but you kind of got to look at it a little bit at a different perspective. If you were the boss of that place, I mean, how do you want your workers to work there? You know, you want them to take a little bit of pride in their work, or at least understand that, you know, they're working for you. And what I mean by that is that it's kind of like how I look at whenever I work in a job. Also, is you know, this may not be, you know, my dream job or the job that I like, but this is someone else's, you could say in a sense, their dream. They wanted to run a store or run a place, and this is their dream, so I kind of have that respect for it. So I do my best. I don't try to mess it up, and I try to follow the rules, obviously, and by having this respect of where I work, I kind of make the best of it, like he was saying that last statement. Let's continue on.
Let your whole life be an undivided consecration to the ideal. So not just meditation when that's spiritual, and the rest of it I have to work in the office. That's so boring and awful. No. What you do as worship in your meditation room, that is worship in the office. That is worship in the community, in the family. All of life becomes worship. And it can be done. It can be done.
I will say, I don't think I can do that, but I do that for the most part. I don't think I can do that like every day in everything I do, but I try. I do try.
Number 18, whatever you may do, do it well. Be efficient in work. Avoid sloppiness, bungling, and waste of time. These are signs of tamas and rajas. So Karma Yoga demands sattva, sattvic mind.
That reminds me of the story in my World of Religions class about, I guess, I forget what it was, but it's from the Buddha. I guess maybe Buddha's teaching is to basically, I can't quite remember the phrase, but give it 110%, but expect nothing from it. So basically, do your best, but don't expect anything from it. That way, if it fails, then you expect nothing, and if something good happens, then, well, that's good. Not a
Number
bad way
11,
to live by.
Always prefer collective welfare to self-interest. Karma Yoga will always prefer collective welfare to self-interest. In the name of service, do not exploit other people, especially the poor. Unless one has the spiritual goal in mind, very soon social work also becomes selfish work. I've heard again and again, well-known social workers in India running NGOs, non-government organizations, what we call in this country non-profits, well-known people. But I have heard from people in their organization, they will say, sir or madam, early days we used to see that he or she is to come to the field. But nowadays, what is sir and madam interested in? Going from seminar to seminar, collecting awards, and that becomes that I am famous. I should be rewarded for my great work which I have done. Number 12, never do anything against your conscience. Do not do anything that lowers your self-respect. Have high self-respect without being egoistic. Karma Yogi.
I was going to say something about that, but I get it. I was going to say, like, self-respect. I mean, I guess I'd be willing to do something that seems kind of demeaning if it means something for the greater good, or like a charity event or something, like doing something stupid or whatever, because, I do believe I could do something just dumb that I would not normally do, but it would not necessarily be like disrespecting myself, considering that I am doing it for a better purpose.
Number 13, make service a way of life. Do service not as a duty, but as a natural way of life. Service calls for sacrifice. Always be ready for sacrifice. This idea was, you've heard of servant leadership? Robert Greenleaf, he popularized it. He has a whole foundation for servant leadership. He says that our ideals should be servantship, service. And when you get a position of leadership, you use that for service. But when you're not in a position of leadership, you still go on serving, because my primary identity is I'm here to serve. What can I do for you? People make this mistake that my job does not allow me to do any service or karma yoga. No. There are people around you. You can at least be nice to them. Make an effort. So servantship flows into leadership, and if leadership comes, very good, and once it goes away, again, servantship remains continuous. You don't wait, I will get the opportunity, the power, the resources. Somebody said that there's this person, Vinayak. He runs an orphanage with more than 1,000 kids, a very big organization on the outskirts of Calcutta. He's got the Indian President's Award for Child Welfare and all of that. Somebody asked him, how did you get this idea? How did you get this idea? And his answer was very perceptive. He said, it did not begin with an idea, it began with a feeling. I felt that children are suffering, I must immediately do something. What is the idea? How funds will come? What should I do? What will be the organizational structure? What will be the legal backing? All that comes later. Once some young men, enthusiastic, they came and said, we want to do this thing, but there are a lot of problems. It has to be incorporated, there are legal problems. And I said, have you started? First, you're starting with putting the cart before the horse, drawing up the charter and the bylaws. What have you actually done in society? Have you benefited one child, one homeless person yet? No. I remember, practical lesson. There was a homeless person sick on the pavement outside the ashram. We were new brahmacharis, we noticed. And
before he goes on, like comment about doing all the legal stuff and everything. It's the sad truth of the matter is the fact that you try to do good in the world, there's terrible people out there, and they'll try to find a way to sue you. And oh my gosh, the legal system in America is pretty crazy, so complicated, so diluted. You try to do good, and yet somehow you can get screwed over. That's why you have to have everything in place before you start up, and that sucks. It really does. I can appreciate people who try to take care of people, what they can. But when you start up something really big, you have to make sure you get everything right. Otherwise, someone can tear it all down really easily.
We were feeling bad. We didn't know what to do about it. Then one monk came along and said, "What's going on?" I said, "There's this person who's being sick on the pavement, is homeless, and is maybe mentally ill or something, and very poor, obviously, old man." And the monk told us, "What is this? He's just sitting and commiserating. Get together, get one or two other brahmacharis, young men, and that was late in the night. Go there, clean him up, feed him, talk to him, find out about him, take him to the nearest hospital. Do it, let me see. And we did it. We immediately swung into action, and the man was so happy, he couldn't believe his... he didn't have his wits about him, but that much he understood, that people were being kind to him. So, here he says, make service a way of life. Number 14. Karma yoga is not necessarily a technique for attaining success in worldly life. I have done a lot of service. Why am I not being recognized? Was that your purpose? I did so much good to the world. And one person who started a non-profit, a professor told him, we were all doing our MBA. You're not going into a corporate life, you're starting a non-profit. Very good. Everybody is praising you. 25 years down the line, maybe the non-profit will do well, maybe it will not do well. One thing is guaranteed, all your batchmates will be rich and successful, spread all over the world. At that time, you should not think, why am I not rich? You must not think that. So this is a lifelong commitment. Remember, karma yoga is spiritual. It's not meant to make you a millionaire or even get you the Nobel Prize or something like that. It may happen, may not happen, but that's not the point. That same Vinayak, I was talking about him, somebody asked him, how do you define success? He says there are external and intrinsic and extrinsic parameters of success. The intrinsic parameter is, I know this is the right thing to do. There are these children who are suffering, successfully or unsuccessfully, I must struggle to help them. And yes, there's extrinsic parameter. He started with 3 kids. He pulled out of the pavement and just straight away he went and did it. He didn't know where the next meal was going to come from. He didn't know where he was going to stay. He started like that. And you start doing that, 3 kids, 30 kids, that's how he progressed. 100, 300, 500, 1,000. And he says, this is good as it goes on, and we are doing better and better, and this is success. True, this is also this is definitely extrinsic success. But it could be, and there are so many non-profits who do not do so well. You start with 20 kids and it's 20 kids. It could have happened, but even then I would consider myself a success because I have that intrinsic idea that this is the right thing to do. I failed outside, doesn't matter, but I'm doing the right thing. So, a karma yogi, number 15, karma yogi must always maintain equanimity of mind in success and failure, praise and blame. He should remain calm. There must be forbearance, titiksha. 16, do not blame other people for your troubles or failures in life.
That is sorely needed. There are a lot of people out there who will absolutely not take any blame for anything wrong in the world or anything they've done wrong. They will gladly accept successes, but will not take any failures. And I think, that is a problem that I'm seeing around, you could say, in America. I mean, it's I don't know how much of a problem it is. I'm sure it's quite small to a degree, but I have a feeling it's a growing problem because it is just so comfortable here, and everyone's trying to be so happy-go-lucky, or oh, it's not your fault, or it's the system's fault, or blaming other things. While to some degree there could be some external forces that you can't control, and that is probably true to blame, but I think the majority of people out there are causing these for themselves and not taking the blame for their failures or for their actions, so therefore they are never wrong, and they continue their actions throughout life and continue to get the same results because they believe that there's this thing out there that's making them fail when they shouldn't be, because obviously what they're doing is correct.
The attitude and behavior of other people towards us depends upon our attitude and behavior towards them.
And that one, a lot of people think that they should be, attitude towards them should be perfect, and they can just have an attitude with other people. Oh my gosh.
Number 17. In the field of work, one of the main problems is to get along well with one's superiors, with one's equals, and with one's subordinates or juniors. Some people adjust themselves very well with superiors but find it difficult to adjust with equals and juniors. Whereas some people get along very well with their equals and juniors but find it difficult to adjust with their superiors.
No problem.
Always rebel. They're told to do something, no, I won't listen. It's a natural kind of mindset. Or the opposite. Whatever they're telling me to do, yes, he's my superior, I will do it. But I'm nasty to everybody else around.
Whew.
Another kind of mindset. You must get along well with everybody.
I get along well with everyone. My superiors, my equals, and I don't have any subordinates, so I guess I don't know about that one. I never had any subordinates.
Time, number 18, time management is an important aspect of Karma Yoga. Karma Yogi should do all work at the right time and within the shortest possible time. Reading newspapers, novels, etc., viewing TV programs, chatting. And he does not know about the web. So that not only cause waste of time but reduce efficiency and concentration. Sticking to a strict daily routine is a great help in proper time management. Number 19. Always remember Sri Ramakrishna's advice to the Holy Mother. I will translate. In Bengali, যেখানে যেমন সেখানে তেমন, যখন যেমন তখন তেমন, যাকে যেমন তাকে তেমন. Basically it means, in matters of external dealings, act in accordance to place, time and person. Don't be stubborn. Number 20. Last. In practical life, the real task is to combine work and worship. To carry on all activities as service, offering to the Lord, maintaining your inner contact with the Lord. And so, Sri Ramakrishna gave this advice to Latu Maharaj for all time to come. This is how you lead your life. What a beautiful thing. I'll explain. I'll give you the original one in Bengali. How do you live your life? Who is telling? Sri Ramakrishna. To whom? Who became Swami Adbhutananda, Latu Maharaj. He was called the miracle of Sri Ramakrishna because he was completely illiterate, not just uneducated, completely illiterate, and remained so more or less throughout his life. And yet he became an enlightened person, a Brahmagyani. And many people came to learn from him. What did he say to Latu Maharaj? Jage joge jege thakbi. As long as you're awake, it must be one of the two. Jage joge. Jaga means yaga or sacrifice, service. And yoga. Internally, externally sacrifice, internally your contact with the divine. It could be mantra japa, it could be prayer, it could be visualization, whatever it is. You're internally connected with God, externally working as service to the Lord. Ghumer kale take dagbi. Before you fall asleep, pray intensely to the Lord. Kajer majhe take dhorbi, ar hardam tar shevaye lagbi. In the midst of all work, hold on to the Lord, and at all times serve the Lord. So this is what a beautiful advice. He says, lifelong guidance. Before he passed away, he told Latu Maharaj, this is how you live your life. Jage joge jage thakbi. As long as you're awake, you are externally engaged in yajna, the great service, and internally connected with God. Yes.
Before he goes to that, that's the I guess I've said this before, but that's the interesting thing about how I live my life. It seems very closely tied to Eastern philosophy. Not completely. Like I don't say in service of God, more along the line in service for the people that I work for and in service of myself. Not to be selfish, but just to, I guess, to encourage to do what needs to be done. So if I am doing something, say, for someone else, I find it the way to service myself and that person. So they want something done, I do it, and I try to enjoy it. So if I service myself and that person, I'm getting enjoyment out of it because I am doing it for myself and I'm doing it for that person. Or if I'm doing a job, I do it for myself, which I will, if I'm doing it for myself, therefore I should enjoy it because it's for me. Or it's for someone else, it's going to give them joy, it's going to give me joy. Therefore, me doing it should be great. That's the way I look at it, and it goes very related to what they say about service to God. And since everyone's God, it ties in, except that he just doesn't use the word God or Brahman or anything like that. Just a lot of the philosophies I kind of discovered on my own for the most part. Some I've seen other people say it, I've seen it in movies, I've developed it in my own by just thinking about it. And it's very closely related to a lot of the Eastern philosophies, which is again, when I first started this journey, it's like it was really it's like, wow, this is a lot of things that I already kind of do, and not completely, but some of the things I've already done. I don't look at it in the same way. It's a little bit different, but closely related.
আর হরদম তার সেবায় লাগবি, জাগে যোগে জেগে থাকবি, one, ঘুমের কালে তাকে ডাকবি. When you fall asleep, before you lose external awareness, intensely call upon God. কাজের মাঝে তাকে ধরবি. In the midst of all activities of life, hold on to the Lord. And what should be your activity of life? All the time try to be of service to the Lord. I remember the famous Hanuman Chalisa, which is very popular in North India. Description of Lord of Hanuman, his attitude to God. Ram kaj karive ko atur. Always so eager to do the work of the Lord. Very good. So this is Karma Yoga. Comments, reactions, questions?
Reaction right here.
I'll come to you.
Thank you. The largest problem that I could see is the one you have started with, which means forgetfulness of the real nature of the I forget what I am.
Yes.
And it would make sense that karma yoga would serve to remove the forgetfulness. And I don't see the direct connection. It is quite beautiful what you have said, but I don't see how would it. I mean, the problem seems to be the problem of memory or ignorance, right?
Yes.
Basically.
It's a cumulative process. See, the problem with, for example, meditation. In every spiritual retreat, one common question will be, my mind wanders when I meditate. My mind wanders. Other thoughts come into the mind, other people. Why does that happen? Because the moment I cut off the world, my mind is left to itself. It's very difficult to be mindful. When other thoughts intrude and my mind wanders. But in Karma Yoga, that is not so. Because you're connected to the world. If you're taking care of an ill person, a patient who is sick, that patient will make sure your mind is on the job. Only thing is that internally we must have this attitude that the Lord is present in form of the patient. The actual work, which is your practice, the seva of treating the patient, that will be done with mindfulness, because the patient will make sure that you pay attention. You're teaching a class of 5th graders. You can't say my mind is wandering. Mind cannot wander. They will make sure that you pay attention. Your mind will be held there. The transformation is internal, that all of these people I'm dealing with, they are none other than the Lord. And that will go away from time to time. That will disappear. But over time that becomes steadier, slowly. It's particularly difficult. That idea that God is present in this form will be very difficult to hold on to. The person is difficult. But over time it comes.
Is it like practice make perfect, basically? As you continue to practice that method, you'll eventually incorporate it into your life. It becomes second nature in a sense, kind of like muscle memory and stuff. Where, like, sometimes whenever I get out of my car, I always lock the door when I'm outside. That way I can't lock the keys inside the car. So I whenever I get out the car, I lock it and then I go about to my work. But sometimes I'm thinking about something and I'm like, did I lock the door? And I go there and I open the door. It's like, oh, I locked it. I did it without realizing I did it. It's become kind of like second nature that I automatically do it. I think that's what it was getting at.
I know in our hospital in Banaras, that's the attitude all the monks are supposed to maintain. Once a year, they actually have a worship of the patients, physical worship of the patients. Throughout the year, there is worship of the patients with medicine and injections and treatment and bandages. But once a year, it's actually with garlands and incense and food offerings, and like you worship a deity. That's to inculcate within the the doctors and the nurses and the monks that we are worshippers. And that's the inculcate the feeling of divinity within the patients, that we are not taking service. As Vivekananda said, let the one who is receiving stand up and receive. That's the one who is offering kneel down and offer. There was a monk, I never saw him. They used to call him Bon Bihari Baba, those who saw him in Banaras. Lifelong he practiced that. His real practice was he would dress the wounds of the patients and he would continuously think that God is present. He was a disciple of the Divine Mother, I think. And he had more than one occasion visions of the Divine Mother in the patients. And around that area, it was well known that you would want to have the patient's bandages changed by Bon Baba, because then he would be cured. And the poor people, they all knew that, and they would queue up they would always ask. They didn't want the doctor, they didn't want the nurse, they wanted the Swami to come in. And even in his old age, he had to be wheeled out in a wheelchair. He would go to the hospital and change the bandages and treat the patients. Transformed into. I remember when I joined the order, one of the first things that struck me was, I told a monk, when I go to the temple and meditate,
Sorry, it's practically recording this on New Year's Eve.
I can think of God. But when I'm in the school and teaching the kids or doing the paperwork or writing letters and all, I can't think of God. And the monk said, how strange. I find that when I'm writing a letter, replying to a letter, my mind calms down wonderfully. I thought he was exaggerating, but no. It works. Another monk whom we knew as a great meditator, he would spend hours and hours in meditation. And then one day, the monk, the head of the monastery, gave him the duty of in the evening after prayers, when it is his meditation time. Remember, this is a monk who loved meditation. When it is his meditation time, he gave him the duty of supervising the study of the children. The children sit together and study. So you have to walk around and supervise and give them help, make sure they are not sleeping or whatever. That's his meditation time. We thought he would be upset. One day I was walking with that monk and he said, and I was a novice, I discovered something very interesting. This feeling I get at the best time of my meditation, when my meditation is really deep, that feeling I often, again and again, I keep getting when I'm walking in the midst of all those children doing their work and I feel God is present in them, I'm serving them. That presence of God I feel there. I thought he was exaggerating, but later I realized, no, it's possible.
And that's the thing I was talking about earlier, where I don't since I don't believe in God, I don't look at it that way. I look at it more along the line, I'm serving myself and I'm serving the person. And I'm sure this is for most people, that if you make someone else happy, it does make you happy. So by doing what needs to be done or what they want done and it makes them happy, it makes you happy automatically. So that's how I look at it personally. I don't look at it as serving God, but I look at it as serving someone. But that may also include serving myself. By being selfish, I help other people in a sense.
Okay. Best kind.
Law of karma,
Yes.
punarjanam. This is not, karma is not really, I think, not mentioned in Upanishads. They usually talk about jnana.
No, it is mentioned karma. See, in the Upanishads, Upanishads are part of the Vedas. Vedas have three parts: karma, upasana, jnana. Upanishads are jnana pradhana, mostly about jnana. But there is always, every Upanishad has some mention of karma, has some mention of upasana. Upasana means meditation. So the Vedas always have three components: action, meditation, knowledge. Ritual, contemplation, and philosophy.
So the law of karma would be mentioned in the karma kanda portion of Vedas.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not the law of karma, not in this sense, but karma leads to results. So do good karma, you'll get good results. Do bad karma, you'll get bad results. So this prototype of the form of what we call the law of karma today, you find in the most ancient part of the Vedas, you find in the Upanishads, you find in the Bhagavad Gita. Throughout Vedantic literature, you find it again and again.
It bothers me to ask you this. Is this all a form of self-hypnosis? If Ramakrishna cancer patient says, I feel no pain, I feel happy. A psychiatrist would say it's delusional. And you're all teaching us how to,
Become deluded.
not so much delusion, it's a form of prolonged self-hypnosis and reconditioning.
I was thinking that earlier too. Is the fact that it's this idea of belief and stuff. Like I was saying that because he believes he is separate from the body, that he no longer, how do I say, see himself as the body. Again, because he's separate from the body, Turiya. And I guess in the Western world, or maybe not even Western world, honestly, it's basically a world who has not delved into Eastern philosophy of Turiya Brahman, or this I am I, but not the body and mind, will have this idea. It's like, oh, you're crazy, obviously I am me. Any place that has not delved into that, into those teachings or philosophies, will have this, yeah, you're delusional, you are the body, you have throat cancer, you're not fine, you're not okay, you're sick, you're dying. Whereas Ramakrishna would say, no, yeah, the body, there's something wrong there, there's pain there, but I am perfectly fine.
Just the opposite. Vedanta insists that we are already hypnotized. Swami Vivekananda says this is all a process of de-hypnosis. Remember, carefully, Sri Ramakrishna does not say, I don't feel pain. He said, I do feel pain. Didn't he say? It hurts. I cannot eat because of the tumor. And he said, but sir, I see that you are in great bliss. That's also true.
This is inappropriate affect. That's called inappropriate affect. He should not be happy.
He should not be happy, yes. So this is from the perspective of a very materialistic science, which says you have to be unhappy. Why are you happy? Yeah. So
Sorry, I can't edit that out because it's all going with this thing.
that inappropriate effect which you're talking about, that's pathological. So that's pathological. Here, Sri Ramakrishna is actually grounded in reality. From a Vedantic perspective, our whole problem is we are living a kind of dream life. According to those enlightened people, we are the ones who are away from reality. There are pathologically disturbed people who are away from our reality also. One sign of this is that the pathologically affected person is usually dysfunctional in life. Freud was once asked, everything you say, according to you, everybody seems to be disturbed. If you say you have a problem, then you are mentally disturbed. If you say I have no problem, then you are really disturbed. Because
I'm sorry, but that is true. Hey, look, I believe everyone's crazy. I believe everyone is disturbed. It's just a matter of how much. That's all.
you're suppressing all the problems. So what is normal according to you? And Freud gave a very nice answer. He said, the ability to do one's work and to maintain, and the ability to work and to love. That's a sign of normality. That means if you can maintain your relationships in working order, and you can take care of yourself and fulfill your responsibilities to some extent at least, you're okay, you're fine. So deeply disturbed persons cannot do that usually. That's one sign. Otherwise, why would you call it pathological? If the person is fully functional and also happy, even if the person has cancer, what is the problem then?
Exactly. I was going to get to that. I was going to say, there's nothing wrong with if your body's dying or you're dying. When you come to terms with that, when you come to the acceptance of that, you no longer, like, what's the point of worrying about it if it's terminal? You crying or worrying about it or thinking about it all the time, it's not going to make it any better. Try to be happy. Try to be happy with the people around you. You don't want to go out like, oh God, why is this happening? No, that's not the last few minutes of your life. Is that what you want it to be? No, you're gonna want to enjoy it as much as possible. You got a limited time left. Enjoy it. Be happy, and that's why I can accept the fact that yeah, it hurts. It's I'm gonna die from it, but why be sad about it? I mean, that's not gonna make it better, is it? If not, then why should I be sad when I can just be happy?
The person is unhappy or having serious problems at some level. You see, there's a great discrepancy, the mismatch between reality and that person's perceptions and reactions. Then you call it pathological. But in the case of these enlightened people, they seem to be more functional than us. The places where we struggle, they overcome easily. And they are able to inspire and guide millions of us down the ages for centuries and millennia. Look at what Buddha said when he was asked by this young, first time when he was walking from Bodh Gaya to Sarnath, before he delivered the first sermon. This little shepherd boy, young man, asked him, looked at his face and was amazed by the look on his face and said, "What are you?" Houston Smith says, many people have been asked, "Who are you?" Very few people in history have been asked, "What are you?" What are you? Are you a god? And the Buddha said, no. Are you an angel? In those, angel of course is a Christian term. They would have said Devdut or something like that. A heavenly being. No. Are you a human being? The Buddha said, no. Then what are you? He said, I am the awakened. I am Buddha. Meaning thereby, we are not awakened yet. We are away from reality. Enlightenment, you will get a distinct, clear perception that you are penetrating through to a deeper level of reality, from which you can fully understand the other person's perspective, but the other person cannot understand you. How do you know that you are at a deeper level or a higher level? Why is the college student at a higher level than the kindergarten student? Because the college student understands everything that the kindergarten student is studying, but not the other way around. Kindergarten student doesn't understand what the college student is studying. So it encompasses our reality and goes beyond that.
How do we fit ambition in karma yoga? And ambition and other more, say, selfish desires of the mind and body, even little ones?
You cannot. What is the purpose of karma yoga? The purpose of karma yoga is ultimately, it is for enlightenment or God realization. So I have realized that what were all my ambitions for till today? Why do we have ambitions? What does ambition lead to? What is the purpose of ambition? To happiness. Happiness. Ultimately, it's my own happiness. People are confused. They don't understand this. If you actually probe, there's nice stories there. Somebody said, I love my job. It's really the job which I love. Working for a big multinational corporation. So he was asked, then do the job, we won't give you the money. You love the job, right? No. Money I must have. Given a choice between the job and the money, which will do? You have to take one, and then I'll take the money. Okay, you take the money, but you can't spend it. No. I should be able to spend it. I need things for my family. I have to buy the things for my family. All right. You can spend the money for the family, but they won't be your family anymore. It's some random family. No, it has to be my family. Ultimately, it comes back to me. My happiness, somewhere. In an enlightened way or unenlightened way, it has to be connected to the self. Now, this is what ambition is for. And the enlightened person, or wise person, not an enlightened, wise person realizes, this way is not making me happy. If I keep on pursuing these ambitions, it will just, same result will come. The definition of insanity is to keep doing the same things and expecting different results. I repeat it again and again, expect different results. No, insanity. So now, here is religion, Vivekananda and others promising you that real deep satisfaction is possible. Why not try that? Remember, in one sense, you are not abandoning ambition. You are being ambitious in a wiser way. A young man became a monk. His classmates asked him, why do you want to become a monk? Don't you want these things? Whatever is in life. And the young man replied, it's not that I don't want these things. I want everything. Yes, that person is there, yes.
Yes, Swamiji, I have a question about introverts who want to do service, but it's difficult for them. It's like they would rather sit in a cave than go out there and interact with people and do service. So how can an introvert person be a good karma yogi?
I was going to say, that's kind of talking about me a little bit there. I should probably get out this little cave here.
Yes. When is lunch now?
Oh,
12 or 12:30. 12, so we have gone into lunchtime. Introvert, your
Uh-oh, Swami's distracted by food now.
nature suits you to meditation, for example, study, meditation, devotion. That will become your primary path. Don't fight against your nature. But Swami Vivekananda always recommended a harmony of the 4 yogas. Remember, the problem is not with karma yoga. The problem is always with my own mental makeup. So that which my mental makeup has not suited me to, that I must try. That will not be easy on me. So there are introverts who do karma. In our order, we have to do karma yoga. We have to do all the yogas. So it's not suited to it. May not be very practical, may not be very efficient also, but it does me good. Often the places where I grow most are the places where I lack development. Good. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.
Okay. All right. So interesting. Again, like I said, a lot of the philosophies, I can't wait to get to the other ones. I'm wondering what other philosophies that I've been following that again, I don't know how I came up with these things. I just thought about it. I lived life, and it's basically the same thing that these gurus and swamis have done throughout their lives, is that they've thought about their actions and actions around them, and they've come to this discovery. And I come to some of these discoveries. I'm sure everyone has come to these discoveries. It's just a matter of whether they followed it or not. And at least in terms of some portions of the world, they completely ignore it and go the other direction of fitness, which is kind of sad. But anyways, that's my reaction to Karma Yoga, the Path of Action. This is hopefully well, not hopefully the final one, but the final one from this series that he has. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.